Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I am broadcasting to you from beautiful Budapest, capital city of Hungary, located in Central Europe. I hope everybody is doing great. Thank you students for being so patient waiting for the class to start. Again, the materials that we use, they come from our world-class IELTS test preparation websites, aehelp.com for academic version of the test and gieltshelp.com for the general version of the exam. So go there, spend a couple dollars, save yourself a lot of headache, save yourself a few $100 not to sit the exam a second, third, fourth time, and learn strategies that are useful for not just the test, but for university as well. All right, so if you have questions about the exam or about our products, don't be shy, send me an email. My email is Adrian, A-D-R-I-A-N, at aehelp.com. These classes are Wednesday to Saturday from 15 to 16 o'clock Central European Time. Today, reading strategy. Tomorrow, we have a members chat class earlier than a speaking part 2 class for the cue card. And you can see the remainder of the schedule in our community bulletin. Let's get right into our reading. This is what we're looking at today. Hopefully that's clear for everyone. Hi, Roshni Kunte. Good to see a member in class. Roshni, good for you, joining in both classes. Hi, Manpreet. Hi, Kusum. Hi, Shardor. Hi, Bijava Paudel. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right. Hi, Kyber. All right, so the title, this is coming from the academic version of the test, but you could see a passage like this in the third part or section 3 of the general exam also. So learning the right strategies, practicing with this is a good idea no matter which way you cut it. All right, so again, the title is here, Earthquake Preparedness. What does that mean? What does it mean, preparedness? What are we talking about here? What is this passage going to be about? Always read the title, students. Never just jump through the title and start searching for answers. That's just a really silly way to try to do the test, and it's not a good strategy to get high band scores. So you need to take the right steps for reading comprehension. Earthquake preparedness. Kyber says it means to get ready. Santa says it's about earthquakes. Amardeep says, well, the title really means to get ready to face an earthquake or ready for a disaster. Ivan Nazarenko says preparations to survive during an earthquake. Absolutely. So that's what you need to think about before you read any further. You need to visualize, so picture it, right? It's very visual, it's catastrophic. Most of us have some idea about earthquakes. I live in an earthquake region of the world in Victoria most of the time. Hungary, where I'm at right now, not so much. But we do know a lot about it. It's in the movies, it's in the media, of course. So use critical thinking. What is it? Why is it? How is it? Okay, always have these questions in your mind. What is it? Why is it? How is it? So why is it, of course, to survive or to minimize damage, right? What is earthquake preparedness? How can you be prepared for an earthquake? Think about this before you read, okay? Shaksham, I like your expression, how to tackle an earthquake. Yeah, tackle is used well there, Shaksham. So how do we tackle an earthquake? What can we do? Okay. What can we do? Amaka says measures to curb and manage the devastating effects of an earthquake. Amaka, the devastating effects of an earthquake. Not the earthquake itself. You can't manage that. That's so powerful and so beyond our measure that we can't manage the earthquake, but we can measure the effects. Shaksham says, how about an earthquake-resistant building? Absolutely. So construct buildings that are resilient when the ground is moving. Sure. Kyber says, Put ourselves under some kind of a hard shell, such as a table. Sure. Yeah, definitely. Like under the desk at a school. Okay. Sure. Go to a safe place, an open place. Definitely. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. So you're thinking about all this. What else can you do? So you're thinking, okay, I need to protect my body, right? Always try to think outside of the box as well. So first thought, yes, protect our body, protect our head. Get to a safe place, stay still, get under a table, right? What else? Farhan says some kind of a disaster plan. So have a plan in place. Alinda says pray. Sure. Yeah, why not? Amaka says maybe use technology so we can predict the earthquake and get ahead of the danger. Yeah, sure. Justine Philip Montero, very good. Proper education. Knowledge is power, and being informed can save lives. Farhan says doing practice, drills. It's called drills, earthquake drills. Very good, Farhan. Yeah, practicing so that we don't panic. Definitely. Great ideas, students. Great ideas. All right, let's take a peek at the questions. This is what you should do in the IELTS. You always look at the title first, think what, why, how, then look at the questions. Some students, they go right to the questions. Don't do that, okay? It's silly to look at the questions before you even read the title. It's not going to make much sense. And here's the questions. First set, we have 4 questions here. Hopefully everybody can see that clearly. Yes, no, not given. Okay, I will teach you some good strategies for this today or review them. Now, should I read this before the passage? So is it a good idea to skim or scan these yes, no, not given questions before I go ahead and look at the passage? Yeah, no, it's not a very good idea. Khyber, Harminder, good for agreeing. No, Hitesh Patel, no, don't do it. Okay, don't read these. There's a chance that 3 of the 4 here are false and not given. Reading these just leads to confusion. It's a waste of time. There's no point to rehearse or pre-read not given and false information. It's not going to help you. Okay, if anything, it will just confuse you while you're reading. Remember, the brain's not linear. Okay, it doesn't hold information in a linear fashion. Linear means in a line. Okay, we're not a computer. Computers are linear machines. We're not linear machines. Okay, we're quantum machines. We work differently. So don't read it. Okay. All right. Next set of questions. Complete the sentence with the correct ending. So here we have 4 sentences, and then we have some choices below. Should I read this type of question before I read the passage? Yes or no? Complete the sentence endings. You should read this part, but not the choices. So if I look at the choices, whoa, look at that. There's 7 choices. Okay, there's 7 choices, but there's only 4 sentences. That means 3 of the 7 choices are confusing and false, maybe not even in the text. So we don't know which ones those are. So we only read this because this is in the text. It's paraphrased from the text. It means it's using different words than the text, but the information is in the text, okay? So let's read it together. The first step after waiting out aftershocks is 2. Poor construction results in buildings that offer. Even otherwise well-constructed buildings may be at risk because buildings along the west coast of North America and Japan are designed to. Now you're probably thinking, hey, I might be able to answer these without reading. Sure, but don't do that. Just read, okay? All right, and then, look, we have some more questions. It is a summary completion type question. Earthquake planning. Should I read this? Yes, absolutely. Why? Because again, all of this information is in the text. So Gaurav Patel, maybe you're starting to figure out the strategy here. Read information in questions or skim read information in questions that's in the text or contained in the text. Don't read information that's not contained in the text. It's logical, okay? All right, so let's read this together. Students, read with me. Don't be shy. And if you can, unless you're in a library or somewhere where you cannot use your loud voice like you're supposed to be working in your office or something like that, then don't read out loud. But otherwise, if you're not going to get into trouble or too much trouble, then read with me, okay? The goal here is to read together. I'm pretty sure I can read, and I want you to do the same, okay? All right, here we go. Earthquake planning. Planning is incredibly important for surviving an earthquake. They must make sure in advance that they have appropriate to survive after the event. Something is the most critical resource after an earthquake since municipal sources may be damaged and unavailable. Conversely, will be less scarce because it is less likely to be compromised in an earthquake. Some measures to take in preparations for an earthquake include storing medical supplies in a safe place, not hanging picture frames above your bed, and identifying something in your home and workplace. In the event of an earthquake, try to call for help using your phone, or if you are trapped, try something on a pipe. Don't worry about the choices. Just go back and start reading the passage. Here we go. All right, students, so we have a good idea of the questions, what we need to answer. Now we can read the passage. So let's do that together. And let's try to focus on understanding what we read. And let's focus on keeping a structure or a catalog of what we read. How can we do that? So how can I catalog the structure of what I'm reading? So what I read first, what kind of information I read second, third, fourth, fifth, so on. How can I do that? It's a really important question for reading comprehension skills. Okay, so let me pose that question for you one more time here. So really important question. I think a lot of students worry about this. Okay, so how can I catalog or keep a clear structure in my mind about the information that I read? So it's basically forcing our brain to be linear, to have a linear understanding, an organized understanding. What can I do for that? Guankai Ren, first sentence for body paragraphs can help me. Okay. Farhan says visualize. Let's start with that one. So visualize the information. Yeah, don't just read it or hear it, but actually see it. We're at a disadvantage these days because we have so much visual media on our phones, on our TVs, tablets, computers. So our brain is kind of shutting down our visual ability or diminishing it. But it's really important to picture what you're reading. Sure, so visualization. A good trick there is include yourself. So that means don't picture information like you're watching a TV, but see it as a participating actor or actress. Okay? So when you're visualizing, break away from the everyday norm of seeing information on your phone or on your tablet and actually be in the imagery. So you are the actor, you are the actress of the situation, okay? Your brain will catalog information much, much better that way. The brain loves to participate, loves to be a part of the event, not just looking at the event from a distance, okay? So great, that's what we want to do. So we want to visualize. Now, Amarjeet says concentrate while reading. Yeah, so keep focused, but what does that actually mean, right? What does it mean and how do you do it? So how do you concentrate, Amarjeet? Highlighting keywords, Lanthieu, when you're practicing at home is okay, but it won't really work during the official test because you don't want to spend time on that. What sentence in the introduction gives you the structure of the essay? You should know this from correct task 2 writing. So which sentence gives you the structure of the essay or the passage that you're reading? That's right, Pachu, Amardeep, very clever. Yeah, it's the thesis. That's right. So remember that the thesis sentence, sometimes sentences, there's sometimes more than one. So remember that the thesis sentence or sentences in the introduction usually the last sentence of the introduction gives you the structural map of the essay. Okay? Let's see if that's true in our case. Let's jump back here. And so to give you that as an example, here is our introduction. Okay, it's this first paragraph. And ideally, these last couple sentences should give us the structure of what we're reading. Good writers will have a good thesis and will give good structure, okay? So let's read from here. For regions of the world affected by earthquakes, being prepared for the big one is crucial to surviving when it eventually occurs. Earthquake preparedness takes 3 forms: education, construction, and planning. That looks like a thesis to me. Does that look like a thesis to you? That last sentence? Sure does. I hope most of you are thinking, yeah, that's a thesis. So by looking at this thesis, this last sentence, what is the first body paragraph going to be about? Or what are the first 1 or 2 body paragraphs going to be about? So what will they be about? The first. Yeah, so the first 1, maybe 2 body paragraphs will be about education, right? The next or the middle will be about construction, and after that will be about planning. This is why, students, it's a really silly strategy to just read the first sentence of every paragraph. If you miss reading the thesis, you've missed the most important sentence of the essay. So careful, okay? The thesis is very important. Pay really careful attention to the thesis. All right, beyond the thesis is the topic sentence of each body paragraph. So keep that in mind, okay? So also, the topic sentence of each body paragraph, usually the first sentence, gives you a good idea of structure. Okay? It is the what information. All right, so that's why some teachers say read the first sentence of each paragraph, but what they forget to tell many students is that it's the first sentence of each body paragraph, not the introduction and the conclusion. Okay, and in the IELTS, many of these passages are just 5 paragraphs. 2 of those, one is the introduction, the other is the conclusion. So only for the other 3 or 4 do you read the first sentence, all right? So be very, very careful. And it's not always true that the topic is in the first sentence, all right? That's not a strong rule in writing. So be very careful about that one. So definitely visualization. Understanding essay structure with thesis and with the topic sentences is a very, very important element to keep good flow and good structural organization in your mind. Okay, students, now let's read, all right? So I'm not going to drag out the strategy too much further. I think you have a good idea. Let's read together, and I will ask you what the paragraphs are about. So let's go jump back to the beginning here. Read from the top. Again, read nice and loud with me. Okay, let's read together. Let me feel like you're here with me, all right? Okay, here we go. Earthquake preparedness. Of all natural disasters, earthquakes are likely to be the most devastating. Though earthquakes, most of the time, are only weak tremors, which are not even strong enough to knock picture frames off walls, at their strongest, earthquakes can destroy entire cities, killing thousands and displacing millions. For regions of the world affected by earthquakes, being prepared for the big one is crucial to surviving when it eventually occurs. Earthquake preparedness takes three forms: education, construction, and planning. All right. When you read this paragraph, what did you see? So when you read this paragraph, or you heard me read it, what did you see in your mind? What did you actually picture? Okay. But Chu says devastation of an earthquake. Don't be shy. Just share. What did you see? I'll share what I saw. Shaksham says effects of an earthquake. Amardeep says ways to overcome the earthquake. 3 ways. All right. Manpreet says effects of an earthquake on life. One important point is missing from your comments, students. I don't see anyone say it yet or state it yet. What's missing? What are you missing? What are you all missing from your visualization? Everybody's missing this so far. If you're thinking it, you haven't stated it. Hi, Ibrahim. What are you missing? I told you that you have to do something really important when you're visualizing. Okay? You have to include yourself, okay? So if you were to ask me, what did I see when I read this paragraph? I saw myself laying in bed and suddenly felt the ground move and saw the picture of my daughter on my wall shake. Okay? So that's including myself as an actor into the situation. I'm not just seeing what I read as a video in the distance, okay? But I'm with the situation, all right? So make sure to include yourself, okay? That was kind of a trick question on my part there, but it's really important to practice being included in your imagination as an active participant, okay? Really important. So a lot of times students say, oh yeah, of course I understand, but then they forget to do it. Okay, hi Mariko, good to see you in class. All right, so let's keep going. Okay, so practice that visualization. Let's keep going. Those who grow up in earthquakes, one more question. Am I reading fast or slow? So when I read this first introductory paragraph, was I reading fast or slow? Farhan says that was slow, but you says, yeah, that was good. Amrit, intermediate. Amrit, Bogan, I like your answer. It's just right, okay? The speed that I'm reading, you don't have to read faster in the exam to be able to finish. Slow and steady wins the race. Okay, slow and steady wins the race. Okay, let's keep going. So at this speed that I'm reading, I can read the whole passage in about 8 minutes. Okay, so I'm reading at an 8-minute per passage speed, if that makes sense. All right, here we go. Those who grow up in earthquake zones are very familiar with so-called earthquake drills. These exercises take place multiple times each year in school, and students practice appropriate steps to take in the event of an earthquake. The first step is to take shelter under a strong structure in school. This is often a wooden desk. In the absence of such furniture, a door frame is recommended, as this is the strongest structural part of any room. Next, drop to the ground, cover your head and neck, and only move if there is a safer place to seek shelter within a short crawling distance. Keeping your head and neck covered are of critical importance, since falling hazards are one of the biggest dangers in an earthquake. Once the shaking has stopped, people are advised to wait for any aftershocks to occur. Many deaths and injuries occur during aftershocks. Smaller earthquakes, which occur shortly after the initial quake. So, staying sheltered is recommended for up to 10 minutes after the main event. Once sufficient time has passed, people should get to open ground, taking care to avoid falling hazards, especially glass structures such as windows. What is this paragraph about, students? What is this paragraph about? It's preparations to be done to tackle the problem of an earthquake, what to do during an earthquake. Pachu says it's an earthquake drill. What happens to practice getting ready for earthquakes? Yeah, so preparation for what to do during an earthquake. Good. All right, some good answers. Let's keep going. One of the biggest factors that affects the number of casualties in an earthquake event is the quality of the construction of buildings that people work and reside in. In areas with poor construction standards, these buildings provide little to no protection against earthquakes. In the major earthquake that occurred in Haiti in 2010, poor construction standards were to blame for a large proportion of the casualties. While other countries have higher standards, often these standards are not designed with earthquakes in mind. Many buildings may be built to an otherwise high safety standard, but be almost as defenseless as the Haitian buildings when facing a strong earthquake. In high-risk earthquake zones, all buildings must be constructed with an eye to earthquake preparedness. Buildings in areas such as Japan and the west coast of North America are constructed to shift a certain amount along with an earthquake. This elasticity allows the building to survive the quake. Instead of shaking and being knocked down, they are shaken and return to their original place. This type of construction greatly minimizes the risk to inhabitants in the event of an earthquake. What is this paragraph about? What did I just read about? Okay. What did I read about? Ivan says about standards for buildings. Sana Sohail says it's about construction. Yeah, so again, we're going through the thesis. The previous body paragraph was education. This one is about buildings and construction. Yeah, the construction of a building. That's right. Why? What's so important about the construction of the building? So, if a building is constructed poorly, it will collapse under the effect of an earthquake, right? If the building is constructed well, does it withstand the earthquake? So some good answers. Caldrago, quality of the building, construction, innovation. Sure. If the construction is good, if it's high quality construction, does it withstand the earthquake? Can it stand against the earthquake if it's constructed with good quality materials? Amardeep says, yes, it might be. Farhan says, no, not necessarily. It has to be elastic. That's right. So again, visualization, right? You have to visualize this. It could be a high quality building, but if it's not built for earthquakes, it can still collapse. It can still fall apart. Absolutely. Okay, keep that in mind. These are the points that you want to visualize, especially when you have two sentences talking about that information. Here we go. Let's keep reading. The final form of earthquake preparedness is planning. Read with me, students. Remember, read with me. People in high-risk areas must have a plan for what to do in the event of an earthquake, and they must plan beforehand so they have appropriate supplies to survive in the initial days after the event. The most important resource after an earthquake is water, and it is recommended people keep enough water for a week, approximately 28 liters per person. Food will not usually be difficult to come by, but water, which relies on municipal delivery systems, which are very likely to be compromised by the quake, is precious. Other critical items, such as medical supplies and personal documents, should also be stored in a safe place so they can be retrieved after the event. Other measures which are useful to prepare for an earthquake are keeping a flashlight and whistle next to your bed, not hanging falling hazards such as picture frames over your bed, arranging a family contact person outside of your area, arranging a family meeting place, and identifying both hazards and refuge areas within your home, school, and workplace. What am I reading about there? I'm reading about planning, right? Planning ahead, thinking ahead. Okay, a little bit of planning can go a long ways to safeguard our life and live happily and successfully. Last paragraph, conclusion, and then the questions. Read with me. In the event that you are trapped after an earthquake, do not struggle or kick up dust. Instead, try to make sounds such as blowing on a whistle or tapping on a pipe so that rescuers may locate you. If you have a mobile phone, use it to call or text for help. Earthquakes can be deadly. All the preparedness in the world will not help if a sufficiently large earthquake hits the wrong spot. What can be done, however, is to improve the chances of survival. Through education, appropriate construction, and diligent planning, countless lives can be saved. Great. Again, notice the take-home message. Notice the clear structure of the conclusion. Okay? The conclusion also reiterates the thesis points in many cases, so it reminds you of the structure of the essay. Let's go to the questions. Here we go with yes, no, not given. Yes, no, not given questions are logic questions. They're testing your understanding, they're testing your logic, and they're filtering for people who are trying to skim and scan for answers, okay? That's why the IELTS likes to use true, false, not given, yes, no, not given, because it tests English comprehension, it tests logical critical thinking, and it makes sure that you're not just trying to search, seek, and find information by skimming, scanning the text. That's why they love using this type of question in the exam. So let's use logic, okay? we're going to use the if this then that logic. And let's do it now. So, first question. Most earthquakes are strong enough to cause some damage. So, first question, is it important to know, full sentence, how strong most earthquakes are for this passage? So make sure to practice this at home with full sentences. It's very, very, very critical to this strategy. So in my mind, during the actual IELTS exam, when I read this question, I immediately think, okay, is it important to know for this passage whether or not most earthquakes are strong enough to cause damage? Number 14, is that important to know? So is it important for number 14? I don't need your answers, students, and especially since most of you are getting them wrong, because you're just jumping ahead. You're not using logic. You're not using critical thinking. So is it important to know how strong? Yes, it is. Absolutely. Okay, so yes, it's absolutely important for this passage to know how strong the average earthquake is. We're getting ready for it, right? We have to get ready for the earthquake. We should know whether most of these earthquakes are strong or not, right? So now that I know it's important, I know that therefore it has to be yes or no. So I ask the next question, is it true that most earthquakes are strong enough to do damage? So is that true? Is it true that most earthquakes that happen are strong enough to do damage for humans and human life? Makia Yusuf says nope. Kyber says nope. Amardeep says nope. Everybody who says nope is correct. Okay? No, they're not. We don't even feel them. Okay? You don't feel most earthquakes. Remember, students, logic, right? The earth is always moving. There are many earthquakes happening all over the world right now. Okay? The earth is always quaking. All right? It's always shifting. So the answer is no. Okay? One more time, watch the logic and the logical steps, and it's computer logic here. It's if this, then that, okay? It's also called the ITTT, so it's if this, then that. Most earthquakes are strong enough to cause some damage. Is it important to know how strong most earthquakes are for this passage? Yes, it is. Is it true that most earthquakes are strong enough to cause damage? No, it's not. Therefore, the answer is no, okay? So, in your answer sheet, you have to write no, all right? N-O, or just simply the letter N, okay, is fine as well. So for number 14, if you wrote N or no, then you're correct. Okay? Don't write true. That will definitely be wrong, Manpreet. This is a yes, no, not given. If you write false instead of no, you will get that wrong. Okay? Yeah, I'll shift the brightness, Tina. Thanks for letting me know. There you go. See it a little bit clearer. All right. Let's go to the next one. The strongest part of a room is furthest away from windows that can shatter. The strongest part of the room, is it important to know that the strongest part of the room is furthest away from the windows that can shatter for this? Okay, pay attention to details in the question. Is it important to know? The strongest part of the room is definitely important to know, right? So what is the strongest part of the room? That's definitely important to know. So it must be yes or no. Yeah. Is it true that the strongest part of the room is furthest away from the windows? So is it true that the strongest part of the room is... No, it's not, right? Because it could be close to the windows as well, right? There could be a door frame right beside the window. So the best answer there is no. Okay? No, it's not. The strongest part of the room, according to the author, is the door frame of the room. The door frame of the room could be far from the windows or it could be right beside it. Okay? All right. Your head and neck are the weakest parts of your body and must be protected. Is it important to know for this passage that your head and neck are the weakest parts of your body? Is it important to know that your head and neck are the weakest parts of your body? No, it's not. Farhan says it's not important. It's not important. Okay? It's not important to know that your head and your neck are the weakest parts of your body, and they're not the weakest parts of your body. So here, I would say not given. Okay? Now, let's say that I couldn't do that. Okay? So some students are probably thinking, Adrian, really? You were able to get that? Really? You don't believe me. That's okay. We don't need to argue about it. Okay? We can find that information very quickly. Okay? Where is this information located? What part of the what part of the essay, I just gave you a hint there. What part of the essay is this information located about the head and the neck? And it's very visual, so hopefully you're visualizing it. The education part, that's right. I'm sorry, I forgot your name, our newest member, so just write it in there for me again. I'll try to remember it, okay? But you're right, it's in the education part. So we know it's in the education part about the head and the neck. So we can go back and look for it. This is where visualization and keeping that structure in your mind is very important. So here we have the education part, right? And the head and the neck were somewhere in the middle here, right? Okay. So let me just see if I can find that part of the head and the neck. Okay, here it is, right in the middle. So in school, this is often a wooden desk. Okay, next, drop to the ground, cover your head and neck, and only move if there's a safer place to seek shelter within a short crawling distance. Does the author say that the head and the neck are the weakest part of the body? No. The author does not say that anywhere, right? Do they say it's not the weakest part of the body? No, they don't say that either. So the correct answer in this case is, yeah, we don't know, okay? Remember what the yes, no, not given question instructions state. Not given means it is impossible to say what the writer thinks about this. So your head and neck are the weakest parts of your body. Is it possible to know what the writer thinks about this? No, it can't be a guess. Okay, so it has to be a not given. Okay, 17. Aftershocks are incredibly dangerous. You do it this time, okay? You do it. What's the question? What's the question here? Aftershocks are incredibly dangerous. Don't jump ahead, students. Remember, follow the step-by-step logic. Okay? Follow the step-by-step logic. What's the question? Sana Sohail says, is it important to know whether or not aftershocks are incredibly dangerous? Yes, it's important, Lanthiu. Very good. Then the next question, is it true? So is it true that aftershocks can be very dangerous? Yes, it is. So this one has to be yes. Right? Yes. Okay, so no, not given, yes. By the way, here's a good example of why you should not skim or scan read these questions before you read the passage. Okay, we have 4 questions. Only one of them is given by the author. 2 of them are not meant, or 2 of them are the opposite information for 2, and 1 of them is not given. If you're reading these 4 questions before you read the passage, it's going to really confuse you. So you want to avoid that. Okay? So no, not given, yes. And there is no magical recipe for the exam. So it's not like if there's 2 no's, 1 has to be not given. No, it's not true. Okay? I've seen IELTS exams where the answers are no, not given, no, not given, yes. Okay? Or there's ones that are yes, not given, yes. No no's. Okay? So there is no abacadabra here, students. Please don't try that strategy. It's just silly. All right. Here we go. Next set of questions. Finishing the sentences or matching sentence endings, where you have this part and you have to find the correct choice. These kinds of questions are kind of like a fancy multiple choice question. Okay? So the best way to do it is try to figure out the end of the sentence with your own thoughts. Pay attention to the last couple words. They will help you match the correct grammar. Okay. Let's do it together. So the first step after waiting out an aftershock is to, so after the aftershock, so the earthquake is finished, we're waiting, then there's some aftershocks, some smaller shakes. What do I do? Don't give me the answer, just tell me your own answer. What do I do? So what should I do after the shaking stops? It's good education, especially for people living in earthquake zones. Farhan says, run outside. Yeah, Farhan, you're right. Yeah, run outside, move outside, get away, go to an open space, right? Open space, away from buildings and so on. Yeah, so here it's is to. So I know that here I have an infinitive coming, right? Is to do something. So to do something, we have some verbs here, move, leave, are. Okay, the other ones are lack, maybe, but not really. Okay, so not designed to leave the building and find open ground. Hey, that matches with what I just said. So let's do that. Let's leave the building and seek some open ground. So B is the right answer for us there. Okay, so again, the trick to these questions is finish the sentence on your own and find the closest match. If you finish the sentence and none of those answers match, you miss something from the text. Okay, all right. Poor construction results in buildings that offer what? So bad construction creates buildings that offer not much, that offer danger. Come on, Nupain, Kamal, you're right. They offer danger. They offer not much protection, right? They offer danger. I like that. That was good. So they offer danger, they don't offer protection, okay? Let's see if something matches with that. They offer, are not designed to withstand earthquakes. It cannot be A, because offer is a verb, okay? And you can't have a verb followed by another verb like that. So they offer immediate, no, lack of the, that's weird. Withstand earthquakes, well, that's definitely not true. Little protection in an earthquake. So they offer little protection. G is correct. Guang Kai Ren, An View Chung, Farhan, Jessica, Alfama. Good job. Yeah. They offer little protection in an earthquake. So G it is. Even otherwise well-constructed buildings may be at risk because they, so we talked about this when we were reading, we visualized it. We're on to number 20 now. So even otherwise well-constructed buildings may be at risk because they what? So even when the building is well built, because they are not resistant to earthquakes. Sure, Pachu, good answer. Yeah, so because they're not designed to withstand an earthquake. Sure. They are not designed to withstand an earthquake. That's the best hint that your reading comprehension is good and you are using the correct strategy, is when you think of the answer and it's exactly the same as what you're thinking. So I said are not designed to withstand earthquakes, and the author says the exact same words. Okay? All right. So A, they are not designed to withstand earthquakes. Last one for this. Buildings along the west coast of North America and Japan are designed to what? Again, we have the word to. To is usually followed by a verb. It's because it's an infinitive. So Japan, North America, like Victoria, Vancouver, Seattle, San Francisco, buildings are designed to do what? Not so much strong, Tina. This is where visualization is really helpful. Okay? Kamal says, face the shock of an earthquake. How, Kamal? So you're very close, but how? So what are they designed to do? They're designed to withstand an earthquake. How? And if you visualize this, yeah, Guang Kai Ren, very good. To be flexible. Anybody remember the exact word from the passage? Farhan, there you go. Absorb the shock by being elastic. Yeah, elastic, like a rubber band, right? Exactly, Tina. They're designed to be elastic. So, are not designed, leave the building, a modicum of earthquake protection. Move in response to an earthquake. That's a paraphrase of elastic. Okay, so they're designed to move in response. And again, verb, to, right? So to move in response to an earthquake. That looks good. So all of you who are choosing D, Amrit, Kamal, Sharef, you're right. It's D. Okay, so they're designed to move with the earthquake. Absolutely. The right answer. Okay, so far so good, students. Doing a fantastic job. We have just this last paragraph here, and we have some choices there as well. Paragraph completion, it's very logical. And it's somewhat similar to what we just did. Think about it on your own, then choose the correct answer. Let's do this together. Planning is incredibly important for surviving an earthquake. Now, we know that planning is the third body paragraph. So if we have to search, it's the third body paragraph. But we probably don't need to, okay? This kind of question, students, complete the summary. You should be able to answer at least half of these spaces without going to the passage. If you're just searching the passage for answers, you're wasting a lot of time because you don't need to do that here, okay? Just use your logic. Planning is incredibly important for surviving an earthquake. They must make sure in advance that they have appropriate what to survive after the event. What do you need? So what do you think is the word that goes into space 22? What's the most logical word? Okay, so they have to have appropriate, not appropriate water, Yvonne. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, so Raymond says maybe like equipment. So they have to have appropriate equipment to survive after the event. If it's not equipment, Lanthieu says it's probably supplies, right? Supplies. So let's see. Do we have the word supplies in there? Yeah, we do. It's H. Okay. So you have to have appropriate supplies. Make sure in your answer sheet you don't write the word, but you put the letter H in there for supplies, okay? To survive the event. Something is the most crucial resource after an earthquake, since municipal resource may be damaged and unavailable. What is the most crucial resource for number 23? And Lanthieu giving us not only the word, but even a little emoji to emphasize, yeah, water. Water is very, very important, right? The water pipes break. There's no water coming from your tap or brown water. You won't be able to drink it. So water, yeah, water's in there. It's B. Okay, so water it is. Water. B. Sure. Let's keep going. Conversely means opposite, so opposite to water. Something will be less scarce because it is likely to be less likely to be compromised in an earthquake. So for number 24, what's the opposite of water? What do you think is not a big problem after the earthquake? Pachu says probably food. Yeah, of course, right? I mean, you still have stores that, they're maybe damaged, but the food is still available. C, food, right? It's there. Good. So number 24, C, food. Good. Some measures to take in preparation for an earthquake include storing medical supplies in a safe place, not hanging picture frames above your bed, and identifying something in your home and workplace. What do you need to identify in your home and workplace? Amardeep, you've made me hungry with the burger, fries, and pizza picture. What do you need to identify in your home and workplace? Maybe a contact person, sure, it's possible. Raymond says maybe even before that, a safe place, somewhere where you can hide in case of an earthquake. Maybe the exits, sure. So contact, safe place, and exits. So resource, food, clothing, tapping, supplies, hazards, knock water. Which one do you think is the best? Kyber says, I think it's hazards, dangers. Yeah, I agree. F. Safety's not good, Yvonne, just because the word form. Identifying safety in your home and workplace doesn't make sense. Okay, so in this case, the correct answer is hazards, so dangers, things that can fall on you. Okay, don't stand beside the 50-inch TV in your business office or your presentation room, right? Okay, or the large statue maybe in the hall. All right, so here we go. In the event of an earthquake, try to call for help using your phone, or if you're trapped, try something on a pipe. This is obviously a verb. A pipe is a piece of metal. Ding, 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 ding. Tapping, Jessica L. Fama. Absolutely, we're tapping on the pipe. That's G. Tapping on the pipe. Fantastic job, students. Great. Good job for all of those who hung in from the beginning to the end. I know reading can be challenging, especially in a foreign language, especially when you're being tested. So good job. Knock doesn't work because you need the ing form here. You need the gerund form, tapping. So grammar is very important for these types of questions, students. Good job for hanging in there. Lots of strategies for you for these types of questions. You can always contact me, Adrian, at aehelp.com to find out more about our products and about the exam. Be sure to practice reading at home. Read daily. Reading is a beautiful, beautiful hobby with massive payoff, so highly recommend it. Students, aehelp.com for the academic IELTS exam. Make sure to check it out. Pay a couple dollars, use the full course, save yourself a lot of headache, not having to sit the exam again, and also learn valuable skills, not just for the exam, but for life. GIELTShelp.com for the general version of the exam. Those websites look like this. This is aehelp.com. This is gieltshelp.com. Be sure to join us. We're here to help you. Have an awesome rest of your day, everybody. Tomorrow for the everyone chat class, we will do a speaking part 2 example with strategy. If it's late in your country, get some rest. Wake up tomorrow fresh, energized, ready to tackle another beautiful day on this fantastic planet of ours. Much love to all of you. Bye for now.